We're getting ready to unsolder the 5 wires from each side of this Bakelite board. Now these wires on the top will not be touched. That's all one big cable bundle here, so they stay where they're at. Once I get these 5 wires removed, we'll be able to swing this Bakelite board upward and see what's underneath it. And I don't think we're going to see too much good stuff actually. But anyway, I went ahead and numbered each of these connectors on the side. I numbered them just the other side of the nut on the top board. 10 numbers for 10 wires, and then I went ahead, I numbered them with a black felt tip pen, one of these little what you call Sharpies, I guess. And then I went ahead and numbered this blue painter's tape. I wanted to use my label maker gun, but son of a gun, my label maker tape is very low, so I had to order some. So I'm going to go ahead and be cutting these and putting them on each of the wires that correspond to the numbers that I've made on the Bakelite strip here. All the wires have been labeled and I'm getting ready to desolder. Now this Bakelite board is held to this metal plate by there's some bolts or screws that come up from the bottom, and they have a nut on them. Unfortunately, at some point in the past, someone broke this one off. Well, of course. How could we have expected anything else? So once I get all the wires all off, I'll remove this nut, and hopefully that'll let things swing up. We'll see. One side of the wires have all been desoldered. Now, before going over to this side, I'm going to go ahead and extract all the old nasty solder using my solder extractor. I'm going to extract all that old nasty solder off of there and get these side pins cleaned up a little bit before I go over and desolder these. Now after I get this board up, we still may have to remove this plate. So I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. The solder's been extracted, and all of the flux, the old heavy coated flux from where it was made at the factory, I kind of took a jeweler's screwdriver and just kind of scraped at it, and it just flaked right off all the way around. Got rid of all that old heavy stuff, that old brown flux. I hate that stuff, but that's the way they did it years ago. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my little acid brush, dip it in the alcohol, and just give these pads a nice cleanup. You know, preparation of your solder point is just as important as cleaning your solder joint when you're done. Get everything ready so when it comes time to put this baby back together, we won't have a big old struggle. Get them all nice and clean and shiny looking. Get all that junk off there. That looks about 1000% better right there. Looks like I missed a little flux. Let's go ahead and get that flux off of there. Take that off of there. She just wants to be stubborn about it, I guess. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's the way you do it. Get it nice and clean. Now, when I get ready to solder this thing back together, I'll be stripping these wires back a little bit, re-tinning each of them, and getting rid of this ugly looking mess like that. That's just horrible. This is going to be difficult to solder. So these old wires are very difficult to solder, so I'll probably have to use some flux on it. But we'll cover that when the time comes. Now it's time to repeat what I just showed you along this side. I don't know if you can see this very well, but these solder joints right here, and there's another one down in here, and they're all pretty bad also. So before it's over, I'll probably have to dress up every one of these solder joints, even the ones on the top. Alright, let's go ahead and remove this nut. Let's see what happens. I don't know if I'll be able to. We'll go ahead and take that baby off. There's no washer underneath. Let's see if we can get the board loose now. And of course not. I'm going to have to figure out what the problem is. Well, I was unable to get this board off. I don't know why. It's really on there tight. It might have something to do with that broke off nut there. So I've loosened up this entire bar, and we are making some progress. I will remove the wires from this loop. I've already done so here with these wires. These are all power transformer wires. And then I'll have to remove that long screw. You see way down in there. Right there's the top of it. That goes way down in there. I'll go ahead and remove that, and hopefully we'll have success. Well, we we do have success. I managed to get it lifted and stick it over here like so. I think what I better do is put a little pad here. Sit this on top of those pads. We're going to take a look at the bottom of that thing here in a minute, but right now I'm really interested to see what we got down. Apparently this has been dug out by someone, and these two 1.01 microfarad capacitors were placed in there and then insulated with, oh god, done with electrical tape. This is where it was cut off. I don't know what this is right here. And this side of the caps is grounded. I don't know why. I'm going to have to figure this one out. What a mess. What we have here is a power transformer. We have two compartments separated by this wall. And in each compartment is a filter choke. Just a, a little coil. And there's also these two capacitors, and a wire has been cut here. The key to the whole thing is this green and yellow wire that goes over and connects to the filament of the 80 rectifier tube, and that'll be my starting point. And you'll see that someone had put electrical tape there also. But that works out pretty good actually in my favor, because it gives me a test point that I can stick my multimeter there. So two chokes and two capacitors. Now those two chokes are right here and right here. And the green and yellow wire I showed you that had the electrical tape on it comes up and it connects to the filament of the 80 rectifier tube. And the two capacitors are this one and this one. One side goes here on this end of the choke, the 1.5. They're actually both 1.01 capacitors that they put in there. This one goes between the two chokes, and then the other end of the capacitors is grounded. So my job is to find out if these coils are still good. I mean these chokes rather, choke coils are still good. And I'm not concerned too much about the capacitors. If these two are good and this wire is still connected where it's supposed to connect, I can go ahead and hook up some new capacitors here. Well, I am amazed. I just ohmed out these two chokes and this speaker cone coil, and all three ohmed out good. That's amazing. That is total shock. But I will tell you that these capacitors are not hooked in there correctly. Now I need to figure out which one goes where. What they did was they hooked, I don't know really what's going on here. They hooked both ends together. They hooked them in parallel is what they did. So what they've got is 2 microfarads there. And I don't know why, because the only 2 ends that should be connected together are the 2 grounds, right here and right here. The other ends should go elsewhere. So I'm going to have to figure out what goes where and install new capacitors in there, because I don't trust these. I don't want them in there. They're going to have to leave. The schematic calls for 1.5 microfarad. I don't know what the voltage rating is. What's in there right now is 200 volts. Probably my biggest problem is this 1-inch stub of wire sticking up out of this center box that holds the choke. I have no idea where that thing goes. Maybe it connected to here. I don't know. But no matter what, I'm going to have to ohm everything out, draw it out on paper, find out what's going on, and replace those with capacitors and hook them up the way they're supposed to be. I don't know if what they did was hook up a capacitor in parallel to form 1 capacitor, or it's 2 capacitors that have been hooked up incorrectly. Well, I'll tell you what, that's the end of this video for now. I'll let you know what I find out in the next one. Oh yeah, one more thing. Underneath this board, let me get down here where I can see a lot better. Underneath this board are a couple of very skinny, fused looking, almost like grid leak resistors. But they're not. There's some other kind of resistor. We got the end, there's one there and one there. They're just little fuse ends. with a very skinny body. Very skinny. So I may want to take them out or somehow get them clean. Little WD-40, it was recommended to me by Rick McWater, but I don't know if I can spin those. I don't even know if I can get it apart to do it. But anyway, that's it for now. We'll check you later. I appreciate everybody watching once again. I'm knee deep in troubles, guys. This is John.